Sitting down here with the elders, having a powwow in North Carolina in the hotel. Say something to the people.
Shalom, here I am.
You started getting tough.
Three score 10 and 5.
Go ahead.
3 score 10 and 5, 75. How long you been walking in this path?
I was about 16.
Wow.
I was about 16.
You came in which way? Through which school?
Well, I came through. I remember that I sing, and at one time I was singing at we got invited. They had like a little temple on Tompkins Avenue. Prince YAACOV, Shalom Lord, and NABI RAPHAEL.
Shalom, what's going on, man?
And they had like a little congregation, and I don't know why they had programs on Sunday, but I guess that was like inviting the people, and
So you say you started singing?
No, I was singing, and we had a singing group called the Inspirational Gospel Singers, and I was singing under the auspices of Reverend Hannibal Gilbert. And on Sundays, and this was before they were named Ben Azakim. I don't think they had a name yet. It was just...
What year was this? Do you remember?
It was before you were born.
Way before I was born. 16.
It could have been...
what year were you born?
No, it wasn't in the 60s. It was in the 50s.
No, you were 16 though, right?
I was about 16. I'm 75 now.
So what year were you born?
In 41.
41, so this was 57.
You're right, it was about 57, 58. So anyway, I was always seeking. I never understood, and I mean that as a child, I never understood the church. Never understood the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I was always so confused. And so this particular Sunday, we were as guests to sing at this little temple. Forgot the name of it. I think it was Tabernacle of Israel.
Tabernacle of Israel, right.
And during intermission, the brothers would get up and speak. And they got up and they started speaking. And I tell you, something clicked in me. I said, I knew it. And that was my start of being in Israel.
So it was a temple tabernacle.
It was Tabernacle of Israel.
Tabernacle of Israel.
It
Seen
was on
pictures.
Tompkins Avenue.
I seen pictures of you when Princess Sarita showed me the pictures, and she said, "Oh, this is Emah Tareyah." Yep,
we had on saris, right?
Yep.
We wore saris.
Remember I told you that?
We wore saris.
And then-
This is my little brother.
Nasi, Zarisha.
He was. I always loved him. And right now we really be very tight. Even though he wasn't always good for my head. But I always loved him.
It must be something, because the only time he be quiet is when you're around. So,
That's a true story.
It's not true.
We got another pioneer here, Emah Bathsheba,
Shalom,
from Hashaba Yisrael. She was Cohen Mecca's first Hebrew teacher. He said that.
Yes.
He said that. What's your name?
Bathsheba Bat Yehuda.
Bat Yehuda. How did you come to knowledge of yourself?
About 50 years ago, I went on a boat ride. And I saw a brother dancing, and he had this little thing on his head and these little things on his garments. And I was curious. Brother, what is that about? Nasi Tavel Ben Yehuda. And that was the beginning.
That was about what year was that?
That was like 1965, 66.
Okay.
Yes, in the summer.
In the summer of 1965 or 66?
5 or 6, yeah.
Okay. So, as you came along, who were your teachers? Who was your...
Okay, the first place he took me was to Commandment Keepers, and I met Rabbi Matthews.
Okay.
Yeah, and he said, Shalom, Yehudit. And I said, oh no, I'm Millie. And these days, when I think about how ignorant that was, I just can't get over it. But he took me there a couple of times. Then he took me to Rabbi Levy, Ben Levy, who is passed now.
Right.
And I stayed there about 6 months, and he took me to Hashaba. I think he was breaking me in little by little.
Right.
You know, he came to my house, told me, I can't eat any of your food because your dishes are unclean. I said, what do you mean my dishes are unclean? I said, I can't eat anything out of your pots. I threw the dishes away. I threw the pots away. I bought new dishes, new pots. Can you eat now? He went through my cabinets and took out everything that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. And so I wanted this. You know, the first time I went to Commandment Keepers and heard Rabbi Matthew speaking, I knew this is where I belong.
Oh,
and then
wow.
when I finally got a chance to go to Beit Shalom with Rabbi Levy, after service, they went over to the next. It was like a storefront, a storefront next to a storefront. And everybody was dancing. The old people, the teenagers, the little kids. I said, oh, this is a family thing. I love it.
Right.
And at the time, I had a 2-year-old only. And so when I saw how these people were all together, everybody happy, everybody dancing, the teenagers, the old people, I realized this is definitely for me. So I determined right there, oh yes, I gotta know more. So little by little, Rabbi Levy would have a class, and he taught us Hebrew, taught us the stems, you know, and taught us some things, even some things that I couldn't partake of, because he said you have to do it 7 weeks straight. And being a young girl, I would get unclean after the 4th week.
Right.
So I never could experience what he was talking about.
Right.
Then when I got older and tried to do it, that was no longer the mode.
Right.
Cohen Levy wasn't doing that. And when
Right.
I met Cohen Levy, I knew that I had finally come full circle.
Right.
Because Cohen taught us the Tanakh to the point where we could quote anything from anywhere, because he taught us that book. He made us learn it. And we learned it because it was so interesting, you know, to know. Oh my God, the law was just something he said, I don't want you to feel like the book is precious. I want you to swallow the book. You become the book. And so a lot of times, you know, you write all in your book because you're trying to memorize. Jeremiah 10 says so and so and so. Deuteronomy this says so and so and so. So he says, I want you to ingest that book. And that's what we tried to do.
Right. All right. So you went full circle. You went from Rabbi Matthew, Rabbi Levy Ben Levy, then you came to Cohen Levy. So you had a piece of everything that was going on at that time.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So then as you progress in Hashaba Yisrael, who are some of the people that you see come through? What were some of the experiences that you had? Your growth within Hashaba Yisrael, if you care to talk about that.
Well, I met a brother called Nasi Barak. Very, very influential, very, very knowledgeable brother. They started a group called Quolot. And in the beginning, I was a part of that group until one of the sisters decided that I would throw them off when I sang. So I quit and just let the 3 of them sing.
So who was the sisters that were in the group?
Geveret Orah,
Right.
Geveret Kakma, Geveret Basima.
Right. And you were the 4th member, but
And I
then
was the 4th member.
but they threw you, but you quit.
I quit because they said my singing threw them off.
You were too spirited, right?
I can imagine a bit more.
Yeah, but they kept singing. They sang for a long time afterwards, you know.
Right.
And, you know, like, I wasn't angry. You know,
Right.
I figured whatever it takes to make the thing go, get out the way and let it go, you
Right.
know? So I was not angry at all.
What were some of the songs that they sang that we might know today? Or
That we may know today. There were so many. There was a song they sang called Hine Matov Umanayim.
Right.
Love, you remember
Beautiful
that?
song.
Love that song. We would harmonize, and I thought I was bringing the harmony. You know, I didn't know I was throwing people.
What other songs? I look at Jacob's Children.
Look
right?
at Jacob's Children. Yeah, we sang that. We had the children singing, we are the Israelites, you know.
Mighty Israel.
Yes, yes. He sang a lot of songs.
What
Barak.
about the one
Oh, that was a big one.
136 song.
Yes. Yes. Kile Olam Kasedo. Yes.
I always was interested. Who wrote "Where There's Peace, There's Love"? Do you remember?
I don't remember who wrote it.
Was it Hosea, More Hosea?
Could have been. It's too far back. I don't even
Which
remember.
is the song that
Hosea.
Go ahead,
I
sorry.
was just going to say, Hosea should have produced a book for us because he wrote so many songs. And I kept saying, Hosea, where's the book? Where's the book? And he kept saying, it's coming, it's coming. The book never came. That
never
brother
came.
wrote so many songs. And he could sing.
Right,
He could sing very well.
right.
I don't. Benny Yahoo wrote one song. Which was the one he wrote?
Benny Yahoo. Are you sure? Wasn't his
Ben
brother?
Israel?
Bak
Bak Bakwa, his
wrote,
brother.
wrote one of those iconic songs.
He did, he
Is
did.
This, Here Are We, or Thy Word, is it one of those?
Could have been that.
I
Could have been
would.
that.
Okay.
Because some of the songs, they got together and wrote, you know?
But Chief, there's one thing I want you to ask this.
Well, you actually, you right here.
Okay. Emah, one of the things that I know you for quite a while. I came to America here, USA, 30-some years ago. But one of the things that always remind me, and I tell the sisters that I teach in South Florida, that you're a midwife. You have been trained as a midwife, correct?
Well, not through training, but just through observation and being there.
And Nasi was, he was a Moel.
He was a Moel,
He
yeah.
was a Moel, one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And you learned from him, your husband.
Well, yes.
At that time.
And the sister that he learned from.
Who was that?
His other wife, Tareyah.
Oh, Adiria, yes.
She did the first.
I met her in Guyana with Adiria, okay.
Yes.
Now, want her to talk about this, she might deliver. She delivered some of her own children. She delivered some of her own children.
Yes.
And that
You delivered some of your own children?
Yes.
Why not? It
When I had my second child and went to the hospital, I realized that the doctor is not helping me. I have all the pains. All he's doing is catching the baby. That's it. So I said to him, they tried to give me the needle. They tried both arms and it didn't work. So the doctor says, forget about it. And then when they were getting ready to do some other things, the baby was coming so fast, he said, forget about it. So when I went to the delivery room, I said, listen, don't touch me, because I know the first child I had was only 5 pounds, 12 ounces, and they gave me like 20 stitches for this little tiny baby. So I said, no cutting. He said, well, what do you want me to do? I said, stand there and catch the baby. He said, okay, slide down. The baby came, he caught it. And then I said, what did the doctor do? Nothing. I could do this by myself. So the next child, which was my son, Micaiah, I decided I'm going to have this baby at home. I don't like to lay down back this way to have a baby. I want to sit up on my
like your
knees
mothers did.
on the floor.
Yeah.
So I made this
The birth
big
stool.
pillow, this big, and I covered it with plastic,
shows everything.
and I covered it with a sheet, and I covered it with something else, and then I sat everything around me. The pot with the sterile equipment, the tub to bathe the baby, the clothes I'm gonna put on him, the thing I'm gonna put on myself. And I had the baby right there in the bathroom where I wanted to. And my ish came in about 10 minutes before the baby came down. He said, what are you doing? I'm having a baby. So he said, oh, what do you want me to do? Catch the baby.
That's a great story. That's a great
That was
story.
the first one. The second one, he wasn't there. So I had to do it all by myself.
You cut umbilical cord in it?
I tried to buy a clamp and they wouldn't sell it to me. So once I went to the doctor's office and when nobody's looking, I got myself a clamp.
See, they didn't have videos and cameras in those days.
She liberated.
So when the baby came down and I was, like I said, by myself, I realized I left the clamp in the kitchen in the pot boiling. And I needed something that was that way. I said, oh my goodness, I gotta wait for the afterbirth to come down. So my daughter just happened to be coming to the Beit Shemut at 1:30 in the morning. And when she opened the door, she could feel something. She said, Emah, what are you doing? You had the baby? I said, yes. I said, now go in the kitchen and get me the clamp. So I clamped, I cut, I washed the baby, I dressed her, I handed it to her. I said, now let me take a shower. I rolled everything up that I was sitting on, put it in the garbage, took a shower, and went and got in my bed.
Wow.
And that was only two you did?
That was the second one, yeah. But the next day I called the midwife, the nurse, so they could come record the birth.
Of course.
And they sent me to the hospital because they said that the baby needed nitrate drops in her eyes.
Okay, right.
I said, okay, no
And
problem.
who was that?
That was Naimia.
Naimia.
And then when I got there, they said, well, we have to keep the baby. I said, if you're going to keep my baby, you're going to keep me too, because I'm not leaving without her.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So I spent the night with her, and I waited for them to tell me that she could be discharged. And they said, well, we have to wait a few hours to get the results of a test. So I went home, fed my kids, dressed them, sent them to school, and came back to the hospital and got my baby. And I said, I'll never have another baby in the hospital again. That was it.
So you, only two you
That I had, yeah.
Hallelujah. And did you teach anyone these skills?
Well, I told everybody, but
No, I mean taught.
most people don't have the nerve to have a baby alone.
No,
No,
I
the
mean in terms
sisters-
of the moral
there's-
skill, did you impact Rabbi Baruch?
Well,
Where did he-
when Rabbi Baruch started with the Moel thing, I was in Florida.
Oh, I see.
I think that was Evid Yahoo.
Eviyahu. I was
I don't
I was
Eviyahu.
with Eviyahu when he did his first one.
He circumcised, is that what Yahoo did? I think Abonimia with Baruch. I think he was on the study table with Yahoo with
He
Abonimia.
circumcised quite a few.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, Abed Yahoo became a
Yeah,
Moab.
and then Baruch learned under him.
Right.
So when I came back from Florida and saw Baruch was doing it, I told him that I wanted to go along with him. So after I watched a couple of them, he said, Mo, how do you feel about it? I said, I could do that. I wanted to do my own son, but the Nasi wouldn't let me.
Okay.
So let me see.
You did my son.
Yes.
I think you did both of them.
Well, the first boy that I did today is like 22 years old. That's what's his name, son?
Azariah.
Azariah's son. Yes. He was
That's
my first one.
Hanel.
Yes, that's the one I did.
What's his name?
Anael.
Anael.
So Mo, you think that these skills of midwifery and moral skills, these are things that should be institutionalized in our
Absolutely.
culture?
But it's not until our young women develop this natural mind to do things naturally, because now they go to the hospital, give me the injection right away. You know, they don't even have a mind to want to develop naturally, you know, and have babies at home. But a lot of people do, because there is a midwife somewhere. I've never met her. And she has been sending people to me for at least 10 years to have their babies circumcised. But she, you know, works with these women, and they all are natural. You know, they have their babies naturally either at home or in a tub of water, you know, like that. But
Can you explain to the people why it's important for us to have our own Moel, and especially someone who's circumcised and connecting it with Torah?
Okay. I think it's mostly important because, as it says in Genesis 17, that having a baby circumcised on the 8th day of their birth brings them into the covenant of Abraham. Now, I don't know if they're omitted from the covenant if the baby is circumcised on the 3rd day, but the Tanakh says the 8th day.
Right.
So even when people who call me for a circumcision who have no knowledge of law, all they know is they want their baby circumcised, I arrange it so it's the 8th day.
Right.
So they don't know, but I know.
Right.
You know,
So they could be into the covenant.
Okay.
But did they hear about you? You know, and that's a blessing. That
Yeah,
they
the
hear
midwife
about you,
usually
and
tells
you do it
them.
on the 8th day.
Yeah, they do it on the 8th
That's,
day.
that's something to do. I
Not
believe.
only that, it's known that boys who are circumcised have an 80% chance of not having a venereal disease later on in life. So it's important for a boy to be circumcised. Very
I got
important.
circumcised at 21 when I came in the law. I found out at 21, and I found out I couldn't. I just had to get circumcised.
You had to.
I guess, but then unfortunately the guy was wasn't the best circumstances because that
Okay.
needle was not kosher.
Well, I believe that's why the Most High had Abraham do himself at 99 to let you know if you're not 99, then you don't have any excuse.
Right.
None.
That's right. So, Emah,
I just want to. I want to say one thing. I'm going to tell you the power that Prince YAACOV had, and I'll never forget Prince RAPHAEL NABI, NABI RAPHAEL, Shalom Lord, and Prince YAACOV had come. They would come to my house, and for some reason my mother took to them. She liked them, and my mother was, ooh. But my mother liked them, and she would let them come in. And this particular Friday, I was in church. I went to church that Friday night because it was called Joy Night for young people. And I wasn't coming home because we stay all night. And they came, and this is the truth. And you guys know I would not lie. They came looking for me. And they came and sat in my mother's living room. You know what they did? They said, we're going to meditate her out of that church. I had no idea. I had no intentions whatsoever to go home that night. I was going to stay and shout all night. But I don't know what I was shouting for. I was just with the crowd.
Just with the crowd.
But you know, I was spiritual because I was in church.
Yes.
And they meditated me, and something made me go home. I wouldn't have never gone home. Never. And when I walked into my mother's living room, they were sitting there. They said, we meditated you out of that church. It floored me.
They willed you to go home.
That happened. As the Most High is my witness.
your mother just let them in the house while you weren't there.
Because my mother knew that I knew. Listen,
Right.
it was all in the plan. It had to be the will of Yah. It had to be. Because that would not have happened. I was not going to come home. And when you tell somebody, what? They meditated you out of church. Are you kidding? Nobody would believe that
willed
story.
you out of it.
They sat and I don't know what they did. And at that times, they had a thing about the power of the mind. Prince YAACOV did. And they were powerful. And I came home that night from church. I don't think I went back.
Ever
I
again.
think that was it. That's about never.
What's up, Emah?
Hey.
Gotta get her.
That's Emah Keturah.
Shalom.
That's at Cohen Levy.
Get her another time.
So,
I give it to you. Go get
did any one of you ever meet Abba Bibbins? Can you tell us anything about him?
all I know is you talking about Kyan Bibbins? I knew
No,
Kyan Bibbins.
yeah,
son, the father.
the father, who used to teach in the streets in Harlem, Pop Bibbins.
He came at the last meeting.
I
He came at the last meeting on
knew
top of
only of them, but I knew Kyan Bibbins because Kyan Bibbins was, in fact, Kyan Bibbins right now is living in California, and he's in his 80s. He was married to, did you know Esther Bibbins?
I just knew Pop, and I posted that seen his son Kyle, but I didn't know him. But I knew Pop Evans because he had the meeting at, on Tompkins in 1968. In 68, in the last meeting they had with Chief Counsel and everybody came in, and then when Prince tried to get things rolling back. That's after Simeon and them came up in Chicago in 68, after King.
Was this Bibbins you're talking about a very short man,
Yeah,
kind
my
of
complexion,
old?
about my
He used to
complexion.
be with Rabbi Levy at Beit Shalom on Willoughby.
No.
That's a different
No.
Bibbins?
This Bibbins, Pop Bibbins had the school over there in Manhattan. Them guys that's up there now, that was his place. That was him.
That 125.
Yeah, that was him. And that's the first time I ever met him. Around that time.
that's the Bibbins.
And that was the last meeting that they had to try to get people from ISRAELITE, from Ben King to come back over. And Prince, Chief Counsel Danielle was there.
You knew Rabbi Woods?
Yeah, I knew who my rabbi was, but I didn't see him that much. Matter of fact, the same thing with Rabbi Matthews. I knew him, but we never really interact. I guess because I'm so young at the time, and when I got a little older, he's pretty much six.
Tompkins Square Park.
Right, talk about that. Right.
Tompkins Square Park was where the brothers would go in and teach. And let me tell you, they gathered so many people, so many young.
You're talking about Nasi YAACOV, right?
I'm talking about Prince Yaakov, who was my teacher, who I loved.
And who else used to go out there with him?
Well, I remember Caleb. I remember Yosef. Name some names. You know some names.
Abner was there. Remember Abner?
You said Abner, brother?
Yeah, Prince Abner. Prince Abner was there.
Prince Abner, who else?
Yeah, so she mentioned Prince Caleb already. Those the main three.
The main three.
Then you had a bunch of other brothers that were coming from time to time. Prince Uba'al,
Right.
who went Jewish, he was out there already. Chief Barak, they referred to as Nasi Barak later.
Right.
He was out there in the corners. It was a lot, and they had like a line of people out there.
What you used to nickname it?
Later on, Prince called it Hebrew Square
Hebrew Square.
because that's where everybody met right at that corner. Plus,
Bamberg. Can you tell us a bit about was he a prince, a chief? What was Bamberg?
Well, first he was known as NABI Bamberg.
NABI,
In
prophet.
Cincinnati, and I met Bam. Through NABI RAPHAEL.
He used to wear the cape even back then.
He wore the cape. He wore his cape. He wore his cape because at one time they was calling him Prophet Bamberg.
Prophet Bamberg.
But we say, come up over that. Prophet.
Who told him that? Nasi YAACOV?
Well, we would tell
Yeah.
him. We used to make fun. We used to have so much fun with him.
Right.
But he was a very serious, heavy brother. And Bamberg, I remember when my son was circumcised. My son is 52 now. And I was in the hospital room when this rabbi came in. And when he came into the room, he looked at it was black women in there. So he said, "Oh, I got the wrong room." I said, "No, you have the right room." I said, "This is me. I want my son circumcised." So he came to my house, and we invited Bamberg to be there because Bamberg, in those days, had friends, and they were just friends of his who were not in Israel, but he was teaching them Hebrew, and those brothers could speak Hebrew. Their language was just Hebrew. Wow. And it was amazed that they were not in law, but this is how and for them to be around Bam, they had to speak Hebrew. So that's why we wanted Bam to be there with that rabbi to speak Hebrew. And he did. We had him circumcised and everything went well. And I've been knowing Bam almost all my life, especially since my Israelite life. And I was like 16 when I came into law.
Wow.
So I've been knowing him for many
From the
many
1950s. Not too many people could boast of that.
1950s, that's right. Bam would go off tour. but he was righteous. He believed in law and he believed in telling the truth. And he would tell. That's one thing about him. He would tell the truth.
He used to call me and tell me, Uriah, when I go over there, you got to know me and introduce myself.
And he
Call
didn't let
me.
everybody
Never
in his
let me-
house either. He would not let you in
me
his
up from there.
house.
From the time he got to know me, from then and that, I go in, I like you, man. You never let me up. I say, Uriah, you gotta watch this and watch that. He easily got me tight, man. But listen, I want to take a moment to introduce y'all to this brother here. This is, I don't know, you remember Omo was in New York? This brother is Seren. This is Seren Esri. He is the chief of the guard, the Shomrim in the community in Guyana. Seren Esri, the trained military sergeant in Guyana, was a retired sergeant in the Guyana Defense Force.
No kidding.
So he went the community. I know I can speak on Cohen because they were very happy to have him, and he brought his experience and skills and really helped to structure that part of you know, the show Marine, we reference the guy, you know, and he's here vacationing and he's heading to he and his wife. We're happy to have him. Okay. He's a great addition and a servant.
Say shalom to the people. Right?
Shalom, 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 Israel.
Hallelujah.
We have a history. We
Right.
do have a history.
What about the impact that the Hashaba drummers when they came in?
Oh boy.
What was that like? Paint it in a picture what you felt, because you've been there before and then after, and it's a great legacy of drummers now in Israel because of that. Can you paint the picture? And do you remember that initial entry? I know Prince Paul told me how he came in and Cohen Levy, he said, well, Cohen, I could play the drums, and Cohen Levy told him, well, play them. And he said, well, I'm gonna play by myself. He said, well, I teach by myself, so you play by yourself. Do you remember that impact, that first, when they started developing?
I don't remember the first day, maybe,
Right.
but I do remember how little by little they started. Prince Poor, and then later on along came a brother named
Micaiah.
Yashadai. Yes, and Micaiah came also, and just little by little they started, and it got so good that on Shabbat they would block off the whole street that Hashaba was on, and
On Belmont Avenue?
on Belmont Avenue they blocked both sides of the street so the cars could not come through, and they just take over the block. And we would have our tambourines.
The people in the neighborhood would come out?
The people in the neighborhood would, first they were just watching, next thing they would join us. And we would start singing, Cohen was leading, Toda Yahovah. And then all the people said, Toda Yahovah. They didn't even know what they were singing. They just know it sounded good, the drums was good, Top Miriam were going, and we were having a good time. So everybody just joined right in.
So
Yes.
the impact was great.
The impact was great, and I remember once even a truck tried to come through and break through the barrier and just come through. Nasi Tavel jumped down off the second story roof and ran over and slapped his arms against the truck and said, "Back that thing up." And the brothers the people in the truck were just so amazed. They backed the truck up.
Nasi Tavel was about yay tall.
Only that time he jumped off the second story roof. Yes, he did.
All right.
Yes, he did. Then we had what they call Israelite Festival Week, where we would have a festival every night for a whole week. We'd have different.
Gotta have that again, man.
We'd have different groups, singing and I was leading a dance troupe then. Alicia Dye probably remembers that we had a group with little girls, then we had the medium-sized girls, then we had the big girls, and we would put on a show the whole week. They'd have singing, drumming. They would call in the.
What about the martial arts shows?
They had them too. Yes,
Right.
and they'd call in some jazz bands, to
Right.
come and play. We once even had those the cowboys, the black cowboys.
Right, the Black Cowboys.
Okay,
Right.
so
Wonderful.
a whole week of eating, festive, dancing, singing, talking, and Cohen would get on the mic and he would give the people knowledge of who we were and who they were without shoving it down their throat, just giving them information. And we were able to bring a lot of people in the neighborhood even into our community.
So can you tell us something about Cohen Levy? What did Cohen Levy mean to you?
Cohen Levy to me was more than I ever thought my father could be. I thought that he was just the answer to all of our prayers because he was very, very easy to talk to. You could ask
Down
questions
to
and
earth.
he always had the answers. Oh man, so simple, He was the kind of teacher that made you want to go home and pick up that book and swallow it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Really learn the book. He was just to me a fabulous man where I decided after he died that I was going to continue a memorial to Cohen Levy every other year so that we would never forget the work that he did in Israel. Yeah.
Emah Tareyah, what about you? What did Nasi YAACOV And I know because it was not a lot of people. A lot of people just think it was Nasi YAACOV, but it was also NABI RAPHAEL.
They were some of the greatest teachers I've ever known. I mean, brilliant.
Brilliant.
I mean, see, this is why we have to be so steadfast. But let me tell you, their hearts were so good. And you remember Simeon?
Yeah, Chief Simeon.
Chief Simeon they were so devoted. I mean, devoted even to take lives if they
Had to.
for Prince YAACOV. But Prince YAACOV was, wisdom comes from God, and so many of us don't have it. And I could truly say that their wisdom came from the Creator. But just like the Creator can give you that wisdom, He can take it away from you. So that's why we have to be steadfast and be very, very careful of how we tread the waters.
Right.
And I did. I learned a lot from them, and because of them, I'm in Israel today.
Chief, can I ask a question? Emah Bathsheba. Do you think that it's possible that the various camps in New York and whoever's coming in town, they can do something like the Israelite Festival Week? That they can recreate that?
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely. It can be done.
why not?
Why not is the question. Why
So that's a
not?
wonderful thing. What about the II? Were you not a teacher in the II?
I was. Yes, I was.
Talk about that.
What did the II stand for?
Israelite Institute is what it was.
And that was a school that was created by Hashaba Yisrael?
Yes, Sister Gaveret Miriam, Eshe Cohen Levy. She and some of the other sisters who were teachers in the school system, including Gaveret Ora, decided, most of our children at that time were going to yeshiva. Miriam taught in the yeshiva, and she decided we need to take our children out of yeshiva and put them in a school that we run, that we could teach them. Most of the students that came out of that school went to college early.
15,
My daughter,
yeah.
yes, most of them graduated from high school early. Brilliant children, just to let us know that we can teach our own children. The problem was this here. There were a lot of children that lived in different areas. Some in the Bronx, some in Brooklyn, some in Manhattan, some in Queens.
Logistics.
Yeah, and having enough money to have a bus pick them up, to bring them, to serve them lunch, to keep things going, materials and so forth. A lot of the people just didn't have the money to put in what was needed to keep it going.
Right.
So after a while, and this is after years, a lot of the students, were taken out because their parents could not pay those tuitions and so forth. So it just says that capital is what it's about.
Right.
You got to have people who are willing to take a chance on our own to teach our own. People who are willing to put up the funds that's needed to keep it functioning at its level, because even after Gaveret Miriam died, Gaveret Ora and what's his name who died? Who did the circumcision?
Eved Yahu.
Eved Yahu continued.
Later on,
Yeah, later on when he came. But the II was a success. It was a success. It's
They
just
had a
that-
lot of success stories.
A lot of success stories. The thing is that because we were in a building where we weren't paying rent every month, it was cheaper and easier to keep it going
Right.
than it would be today trying to rent a building that's going to cost a lot of money unless you have people that are going to support it.
Were they able to attract any government funds, any city funds, any government funds?
Well, at that time, they weren't looking for government funds. They wanted to do it we on our own.
I understand you were, am I true that you were one of Koimika's early teachers?
We already said that.
I was his first teacher.
Hebrew teacher, yeah.
The first time the Nasi brought Cohen Mikael around Hashaba, we lived around the corner from the temple. So he came to my house and he was saying, I can't wait to learn Hebrew. I said, I can teach you how to read Hebrew in 5 minutes. He said, let me see you do it. So I put down 3 letters and said, this is the sound of L, this is the sound of M, this is sound. I said, if you put this, it's an ah, and you put an L with an ah, what's that? He said, la. I said, if you put an M with an ah, what's that? He ma. If you put a dollar, and I put a few words together, and he was amazed at himself, at how easy he could pick that right up. And that's how he started Hebrew. Just like
She is
that.
so talented. She really is. And
And
those are
more
blessings.
infectious. When I get to meet her, we became friends. It's more than what she says. It's about her whole attitude, about her approach to Israel, approach to this life that I remember, that makes an impact in so many unspoken ways. You understand these women? They impact lives in so many ways that words cannot measure. That's what I look at. And that's, if you look at it, God, a lot through the Tanakh is about the attitude.
Yeah.
It's about your approach.
Yeah.
It's about how you evaluate the things of cultural essence and
Yes.
value. And these are the people who keep the traditions alive. A lot of these young people coming up, they have to learn how to respect your traditions.
And you can't have an ego.
Well, ego